Hi, my name is Phil Cochran. I'm the president of Fraternal Order of Police Evergreen Lodge 1 in Kitsap County. And this is our outreach program. What we're talking about here is things that happen in the community. We're your neighbors, we live in the community, and we protect and serve. We're peacemakers, and we do that by protecting and serving the public. The segments that show here is part of our service to the public, and we bring to you different people in the community that are working diligently every day to make your lives better. And if you have a problem, they have the resources that you can get to help those problems. And we have the pleasure today to have Patty Dunley with us. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Phil.
I'm glad to have you here. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
You bet. So I have lived in the Northwest, in the Seattle area, for a little over 30 years. And in that 30 years, I've primarily run nonprofit organizations. So I worked at Food Lifeline, Hunger Relief Agency in Seattle, as their Director of Operations. Then I moved on to low-income housing at the old Magnuson Park Navy Base. And then after that, I ran a dispute resolution center in King County for about 9 years. And then I recently, about 9 months ago, moved over to the Kitsap Peninsula, to Poulsbo, for a job with Fishline.
It's a lot more relaxed over here, I bet, than Seattle area.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah,
that's almost a vacation for you, isn't it?
It is. There's hardly any traffic over here on the high traffic days.
Well, except for if you lived here as long as we have.
Yeah.
We cuss the traffic now.
I know, when there's a 10-minute delay. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little about Fishline?
Yes. So Fishline is the second oldest food bank in the country, in the United States. In Poulsbo, so you can imagine it has deep roots in the North Kitsap community. It was established through a collaboration of St. Olaf's Catholic Church, Catholic Parish, St. Charles Episcopal Church, and First Lutheran. And back in those days, 52 years ago, it was established. Back in those days, it was primarily all volunteers that were running the organization. And then they eventually hired an executive director, Barbara Stewart, who was the first director for the first 34 years of the organization. So
she must have liked her job.
I think so, yeah. Fishline's always been a food bank, but it's always also provided other services to the community too. And it's also always had some version of a thrift store that was there to help with the agency's expenses. And back in the day, when the agency was very small, it began in a little house on Jensen Avenue we called the Pink House, just a small little bungalow that I believe is a hair salon now. And they had housewares and food tucked in little nooks and crannies all over the house, and coffee available for people when they came in. And the money they made from selling housewares, they used to buy food for people. So clients would actually call up and say that they needed food, and the volunteers would run to the store and buy food for people. So
can't get any fresher than that, huh?
I know, right? So from Jensen Way, they moved to 3rd Avenue, which was their big commercial building. It was a very small commercial building. And the thrift store and the food bank were together. And then about 10 years ago, they split apart, and the thrift store moved to the heart of downtown Poulsbo. And the food bank took over 3rd Avenue. And then about 2014, they bought the property on Viking Way. So this is almost 2 acres. It was an old RV.
Poulsbo RV.
Poulsbo RV, that's right. They moved into the Poulsbo RV building, and pretty quickly, within a couple of years, realized that they were going to outgrow that building as well. So they looked at all the options, and they decided to build a new building. So in 2016, they started a capital campaign to raise money. They designed the building and built the building and moved into it just right about a year ago now. And it's a beautiful 15,000 square foot building built to environmental standards, state of the art. And we still have the entire property and the building in the back and 50 plus parking spaces. So it's quite an accomplishment. And the community paid for the building. It's a $4 million building. It's completely paid for.
Oh, can't beat that.
Isn't that amazing?
That's
I know,
amazing,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a, from their humble beginnings, it's quite a success story.
It is. It is. Yeah.
A lot of dedicated people and hard work, though, I bet.
Absolutely.
And it still has that, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're the director of the Fishline facility, right?
I am. I've been the director for about 9 months now. We're filling some big shoes when Mary Nader left her post. She was there for about 7 years. So I'm the new person, and I'm helping to, of course, the agency has expanded very quickly, and so I'm helping to expand the infrastructure to match it, the back end of it, and make sure that we can sustain the growth.
And how's it going so far?
Oh, it's going great. It's going, yeah. It's an amazing organization. I feel lucky to.
I got to know
there.
quite a few of the people there, and they were very good, dedicated, hardworking people.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what kind of services do you have at Fishline?
We have services in 3 basic areas. So, of course, there's the food bank. That's our biggest service. But we also, Fishline also has its own internal client services department where we have case managers. And then upstairs in the new building, we have what we call the Comprehensive Services Center, which I'll talk about in a minute. The client services, it's kind of broken down into a few areas. We provide emergency services. So that's for people in crisis. So we provide tents, sleeping bags, showers, shoes and blankets and warm clothes. We also provide bus tokens and ferry passes, help people with utilities, utility emergencies and wood. And then also we do some occasional hotel vouchers for medical recovery. So imagine you just had your gallbladder out and then you have to go back and live in your tent in the cold. That's not going to be very good. So we pay for hotels when people are recovering from medical emergencies as well, so they can heal, have clean water and heal properly, right?
Do you have certain hotels that are supportive and give you a reduced rate for these clients?
We don't really get much of a reduced rate, but in the Poulsbo area, we just tend to send people down to the Bremerton area where it's a little bit cheaper.
A little bit cheaper?
Yeah, more options.
Hear that, Bremerton? You need to give them reduced rates. You're in their area. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, and then, so that's emergency kind of services. We just really do just about what we need to do to help people in a crisis. But then we also try and help people stay housed. Because once people fall into homelessness, it's so much harder to help them get back out of it. It takes so many more resources. So we put quite a lot of effort into helping people stay housed. So we will pay for moving costs, for example, or first month's rent or deposit, things like that. Sometimes people have a gap between their last apartment and the next apartment where they don't have a place to stay, so we'll help with that. So anything we can do to keep people housed. Since we're not housing developers, we really focus on preventing people from falling into homelessness. And then we also are exploring alternative ways to look at housing. So for example, we have a program called Home Share. And in that program, it's a roommate matching program so that folks who have an extra room in their house, maybe people downsizing or empty nesters may have an extra room, we try and match those people with certain kinds of people. So seniors who want to age in place are a good match for that kind of housing. And that's a growing population in North Kitsap County for sure, seniors. And we also match those available rooms with what we called underpaid professionals. So that would be teachers, grocery store workers, first responders, all those kind of people that we really want to keep in our county. We don't want them moving away. So they're also a good match for our home share program. So we're looking at housing from an alternative perspective. So home share, also safe parks we have. So we have a couple different safe parks, and that's a discrete location where we install a porta potty on the property, and people can sleep in their cars for up to 2 weeks on those kind of properties. And then we have all these small behind-the-scenes programs that Fishline hosts. So, for example, we deliver to homebound folks. We deliver food to homebound people for whatever reason they're homebound. We have a program called Food for Thought, which is focused on children. So we work with the school districts to identify kids who have food insecurity on the weekends. So they may be getting a free lunch during the week, but they go home on the weekend and there may not be food. So we pack a bag, 6 meals worth, and we deliver those to the schools on Friday afternoons so that kids can take that food home. And then we also have what we call our after-hours food bank. So we have a little closet-sized cubby out the back door that we fill up every night for the folks who can't or won't come into the food bank for food, or homeless people, and they can take food from the cubby, the little food bank, and clear it out every single morning. We have a program called Pieces of Home, which is actually providing pieces of home for homeless people. Again, it's tents and sleeping bags and outdoor provisions for those people. We have a woodchuckers, we call it woodchuckers program, where we retrieve fallen trees in the community and chop them up and split them, and we distribute that by the wheelbarrow full to the people who qualify, who need wood for heating. So lots of small little programs in the background that don't get a lot of attention but help a lot of people. Then we also have our Comprehensive Services Center upstairs.
But before you get to that, let me just, I think the majority of people, myself included, we know that there's homeless here, but the homeless here is, I think the majority of people is very minimal compared to like Seattle or to the big cities. From what you're describing, we have quite a big problem right here.
We do.
And that's something I think our people need to know, that it's not just the big cities, it's our local community.
Right. I recently did a 10-year study of all the metrics at Fishline, including homelessness. And since 2009 to the current time, homelessness in this area has increased by almost 700%. So the two fastest growing populations that Fishline is dealing with is seniors and homelessness. Many of the families are actually moving out of the area because of the cost of housing.
Yeah, that's, I don't want to say good, but good to know that it's that bad.
Yeah, it is. Well, there's a trend going on in Poulsbo, and I'm sure other places as well, but the subsidized housing or affordable low-income housing is all being closed down and renovated and then opened up at market rates. So people who are kind of barely hanging on with affordable housing aren't now. They're not hanging on much anymore. They're having to either move out of the area or struggle with homelessness.
Yeah. That sounds like a big problem.
It is.
Oh.
It is.
We're glad we have you dealing with it. We hope we can have other agencies doing as well as Fishline.
I think it's going to need to be a community conversation. I think we have to culturally develop the will to handle this.
I think you're right.
Some people, you know, people have all kinds of reasons that they have troubles, and we all have our own troubles, of course, right? But, you know, some people can be helped by giving them kind of a hand up. They just need a little bit of help, and then they can take care of their own lives. But some people are just really chronically vulnerable, you know, with mental illness or disability or something, you know, things like that, that those people are not going to have a lot of improvement in their lives, you know, and those are folks we have to take care of them. We just have to take care of them.
Somebody has to be responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so upstairs in our new building that we built, before we built the new building, we did a community survey. We talked to government leaders, clients, social service providers, community members about what the most needed services would be. And we've kind of been on a mission to fill the second floor of our building with all of those organizations that are needed in the community. So we have more than a dozen agencies upstairs now above the food bank. So, and it's so many, I can't remember them. I'm going to just read off and tell you who they are. So the American Legion Veteran Services Office, DSHS, where people can get food assistance, a Dispute Resolution Center, Kitsap Community Resources, KCR, has several services they provide. Housing Solutions Navigator, Family Development Case Manager, Energy Assistance, all upstairs. Then we have Kitsap Division of Aging and Long-Term Care, Kitsap Mental Health, Kitsap Sexual Assault, Crime Victims Assistance, Peninsula Community Health Services, PCHS, has a 7-chair dental clinic upstairs, state-of-the-art dental clinic open to everyone in the community. PCHS also has a mobile medical van and a mobile behavioral health care van that they park outside our facility 2 days a month. People can walk in and get health care and see a counselor. We also have SoundWorks Job Center and the YWCA Domestic Violence Hotline. So there's a lot going on upstairs. In fact, the year that we've been open, upstairs we've seen about 12,000 people.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It is.
Yeah, I mentioned to you prior to our little interview here, my wife was a vice commander of American Legion.
Right.
She was an advocate before they built the new building, wanting to get American Legion in there. And one of the main things about Fishline that's unique and very beneficial to the public is they have all these facilities in one, or all these organizations, services in one facility. And like the American Legion, their service office, a lot of times they'll have, when someone comes into the service office, a veteran needs help, they need help outside of what the service office can help them with. A lot of these people don't drive. It's hard to get to us. Now we're in a central location where they get other services as well, and it's really, I think, a benefit to the community and to the people in the community, especially that need these services.
Yeah, I agree. I think previously most people had to get down to Bremerton for services or drive to a number of different locations. And so, I mean, I imagine people in the north end of the county having to drive down to Bremerton.
And let me say, I believe the bus stops right in front of Fishline,
right?
Transit system.
That's right.
So that's another benefit of your location.
Yeah. Having everything under one roof just removes obstacles for people. And as I said, people come with multiple issues, so if we can remove several of those issues all at one time by having them all in the same location, I think it gives people a better chance to pull themselves up.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question here. Now, when people come in off the street, you know, people are shy, they don't want people to know their problems and so forth, and you have a solution to that to protect their anonymity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Explain how that works. They come in off the street, they go to your reception desk.
Well, for any service that we offer, we need to register people. So we look at their identification, and we find out how many people are in their household, and we register them into our computer system, of course. Those records are given a number, right, an anonymous number, so to speak. Or I should say they're assigned a number so that their identity is anonymous, right? And we also follow all of the confidentiality requirements and HIPAA requirements. So when we have organizations talking to each other about clients, we have clients sign those disclosure forms so to keep their...
And when the initial visit, you also have screeners that will talk to the people to help them get the help they need that may not know, correct?
Yeah, we do. We sometimes it's straightforward. They just want food, and you know, one way to think about it is there's this kind of a ladder system. So getting food is the lowest bar, which means you don't have to provide very much verification to get food. I mean, you don't even have to live in the service area. If you need food, we will give you food, no matter what, right? But as it goes up the ladder, and we, for example, may help people with rent, we definitely require more of them. We require more verification and paperwork and proof, right? So it kind of works like that. So people register, and we kind of have we triage the situation. They often will see a case manager and find out sort of the totality of their issues. And
a lot of people don't know what you have to offer or what they actually need. They just know they're in crisis.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you have to help people with the crisis first before you can, you know, help them take control of their own lives. I mean, people are not going to go out and get a job when they're living in a tent in the woods. I mean, they need shelter and food is the basics.
Yeah.
Once people have that, then you take a look at the next set of issues that they're, you know, looking at. Maybe there's services available that they don't know about. We get them signed up for those services, and that bumps them up just a little bit more. And you know, we try and offer services that will just keep pulling people up, keep pulling them up, so they can eventually take care of themselves.
And it's a slow process.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, and it takes a lot of resources and a lot of hours, case manager hours, to help people with that. You know?
Yeah. You guys got your job cut out for you, I gotta say that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So go ahead.
I was going to say, shall I tell you about the food bank?
Yes, go ahead. Tell us about the food bank.
That's the most well-known part of the organization. It's been a food bank for 52 years, of course. But we're doing something different. So we have what's called a market-style food bank. So back in the old days, you would, in food banking, you would put a bag or a box together and hand that to a client as they come through once a week. So we're doing something different. It's called market style, and it's based on the idea of an imaginary budget, so based on the number of people in your household, and we call that fish bucks. So, for example, an adult plus one child may receive 35 imaginary fish bucks in their budget that week. When they come into the food bank, we pull up that computer record and give them the notice of how many fish bucks they get. They grab a shopping cart and they shop the aisles, just like a grocery store. And we've got you know, baby items and meat and
Are
produce.
things priced with fish bucks?
And then we price them, right? And that we do that based on the amount of inventory and the quality of the produce and that sort of thing. So, for example, if you've got if we have a dozen cases of ripe bananas, one fish buck may buy you 3 bunches, but also one fish buck will only buy you 1 bag of coffee, depending on how plentiful the item is. So people shop with their grocery carts and check out just like they do at a grocery store. It provides a lot more dignity and choice for people.
That's good. Yeah, I think we're down to the wire. We got about 2 minutes. Is there anything you'd like to that we haven't mentioned that you'd like to tell us about Fish Bank?
Couple things.
Fishline?
One, I'll tell you, we distribute almost 1 million pounds of food a year. It's a lot of food. We have almost 400 volunteers, and we could not do it. We just could not do it without the support of the community and the volunteers. And I do have a short story.
Go ahead.
If you've got time for that. So this is a quintessential Fishline story. We have a regular client in our food bank that's known to us. One day she just did not look well, so we checked in with her. Turns out she had an abscessed tooth that was bothering her, and she didn't have insurance. But she also then opened up and talked to us about a worry she had. Her son was getting out of prison, and he was in for domestic violence issues to members of the family, so she was very worried. So we were able to walk her upstairs, get her an appointment to take care of her tooth, get her signed up for food stamps, and get her connected with the WISE domestic violence program all in one day.
And
so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's very good, and I wish you much success. And I thank God for giving you these people that donate so much time and help to make it such a success. And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And to those in the community, they're in Poulsbo on Viking Way there.
Can't miss us.
Have a problem, contact them. Thank you.